All right, guys, welcome to the video. I'm here with Brittany Rose. This has been a long time coming for this interview.
A long time.
I think I met you 2 or 3 years ago. We don't know.
Yeah, we can't figure that part out, but it's been a while.
It's been a while, and I've been trying to get her on an episode for a while now, just kind of pick her brain, learn more about her. She's a very interesting person from what I've read, and I'm sure
Thank you.
a lot more interesting stuff is going to come out in this interview. So I guess I want to start. I want to start more from the beginning. Or maybe not the exact beginning, but from what I understand, you were a Baltimore Ravens cheerleader.
Yeah. Okay. But that's not even the beginning, right?
There's more before that.
I had already started my company in college.
Really?
So before I became an NFL cheerleader, I was already in business, and I never, some people dream of becoming an NFL cheerleader for a specific team, whatever. And that was never really my thing. But I'm a businesswoman and I'm a marketer, and I know what that does to a brand.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, let's go try this out. And it took a long time. It took a couple years of trying and tryouts and figuring out your look and figuring out what team fits you. And I tried out about 5 times across several different teams before I made the Ravens. And I was actually lucky to make it on my second year trying out, because there were girls who were trying out for 5 years, 7 years before they ever made the team. And a lot of girls try out that long and never make it.
Okay. Now I'm just curious. I know nothing about the process of becoming a cheerleader. I haven't tried that out yet, but
You should. Ravens is co-ed.
Yeah, they really. I'm putting out my bucket list, try for the Baltimore Ravens cheerleading team. But what is involved when you try out to be a cheerleader?
Every team's process is different. And this year, everybody's is drastically different. Like the Redskins are having their tryouts right now, and it's virtual.
Virtual tryouts.
A lot of pro teams right now are having virtual tryouts this year. So everybody does their own different thing. For the Ravens, you go to pre-tryout camp. There's 2 classes that you take, whereas for the Redskins, it's a whole series of classes that you take. So that's a little bit different. And I can only speak to the Ravens and Redskins because that's what I'm most familiar with. But the Wizards have a series of tryout classes as well. So you go to all of those because you want to have the best opportunity to knowing the staff and knowing the coaches and knowing the other girls. And you go take classes wherever the other cheerleaders take classes, dance classes, tumble classes, stunt classes, whatever. So it's pretty involved even before you start the tryout process. And then for the Ravens, there's a 2-day tryout, initial tryout. And you go in, and I think the Redskins do the same thing. So you go in the first day, they make the first round of cuts, and it's basically like, can you pick up the choreography, and do you have the look that they're looking for? And then the next day, you have a question about that, don't you?
I was going to say, did they give you 2 days to learn?
No.
Okay.
So you learn the first day, and then you go into the tryout and you perform what you learn. Redskins is a little different. They do this thing called freestyle. So your first day is usually like a freestyle. So you kind of do what you want. You showcase what you can do. Ravens, you learn the first part of the routine, and then you perform it, and then they make cuts based on that. And then the second day, you learn more of the routine, and you perform it, and then they make a second round of cuts. Then after that, I think is the interview. So you have an interview time, and you go in, and they ask lots of questions, and it's incredibly intimidating. But it's cool. And then there's like a practice that you go to where you practice with all the returning members and the new hopeful rookies. And then at the end of that practice, they make final cuts. And it was crazy because what you do is you get all your gear, and like after the tryout, you get all your gear, and everybody has to walk out of the practice facility doors, right, into the hallway to get out of the facility. And they have a list, and they put the numbers on the list, and you look for your number, and if you made it, you circle back around back into the practice facility, and if you don't, you just keep walking and you exit the facility. And I didn't see my number when I first looked. And then I was like, okay, wait, let me look one more time. Let me just double check. And then my number was there. And so I almost walked out and left. And I've never really told anybody this, but I was just so nervous and anxious and overwhelmed that I couldn't even see straight to see my number. So I'm glad that I looked for a second time, because I would have been.
Would they have called you, or would they have just said, "Oh, she's not interested"?
Yeah, they would have probably been like, "Oh, she wasn't interested. She didn't want to do it."
I wonder how many people didn't, maybe out of nerves or something, didn't see their name.
I think it's just me. I think it's just a me thing, but yeah, I don't know though. It could be. It could happen all the time though. Who would know? You know?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And so I do want to ask more about business and marketing, because that's what I'm interested in.
I know, we're right there. We got it.
Yeah, and I see you online. I'm like, Jesus, she's all over the place. She's killing it all over. She's just killing it. But I'm sure anyone watching this, they hear Ravens Cheerleader, they're going to want to know, I guess, what is it like? I guess at this point, after you've made as a cheerleader, what is it like to be a cheerleader on a football team?
Yeah, everybody's experience is different. To clarify, a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, you must have had so much fun," and it was like, there's this very glamorized appeal to it. We do not fraternize with football players. With football players from the Ravens, you're allowed to do whatever you want outside of Ravens, but with football players from the Ravens, absolutely not. Like if you are at a restaurant and a football player walks in, you need to get up and go call your coach and make sure that you can continue to have dinner there. Because it can be misconstrued, or somebody can see something that didn't actually happen. And there's really strict rules around that. We don't travel with the team. I was commuting from Leesburg, so I was driving from Leesburg to Baltimore, 3, 4, 5 times a week. That wasn't fun.
That's a hustle right there. Is that like an hour?
Hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. You're in traffic. Like it was a lot for me. Some people are really, it's like their thing. It's their thing. For me, being as business-minded as I am, I look at things that I do as an investment, and I need to see a return on my investment. And because of the restrictions about you couldn't do media interviews that weren't sanctioned through the Ravens, I couldn't really use my position to really push forward my brand without going through a lot of different hoops. And so for me, the investment just wasn't there. It didn't make sense because I was spending so much time building someone else's brand when I really wanted to be focused on my own. And then there's the actual financial investment, because you get paid. The year I cheered, the hot dog boy was paid more per hour than I was.
Really?
I'm assuming. If I'm assuming correctly about what the stadium staff was making, yes. But pricing, I think, has gone up over the years. Pay has gone up for cheerleaders over the years. But for me, hair, they pick how your hair is going to look, and you're responsible for making it look that way, which can be several $100s every time you go to get your hair done, which is, every couple weeks, every month, whatever. Makeup, any woman will tell you makeup is incredibly expensive, and there's a look that you have to have. So, you spend the money on the makeup. We get discounts on tanning and cosmetics and stuff like that, but it's really not enough. And then calendars, we are responsible for making the initial investment to purchase the calendars that we were to go back and sell. And so, that was a sizable amount of money a sizable amount of money that I was responsible for coming up with, and you know, you can make your money back if you sell the calendar, so that's cool. But
if you sell them.
If you sell them.
Yeah.
Which they give you opportunities to sell them, which is great. But it's definitely a hustle. Like, it's work. It's work. And for me, because it was my first time learning how to stunt, like be an actual flyer, which Ravens is the only team that has actual cheerleaders. So actually stunting, tumbling, jumps, motions, cheers. Every other team has dancers. And they might dance with pom-poms. But they're dancers, not cheerleaders. But it's okay.
Okay, that's
we all get along. And Ravens actually have dancers, and then they have cheerleaders as well. So,
okay. Is that a flex on the other teams? You're just like, Ravens, we have cheerleaders.
It's a flex. I feel like it's a flex. Like no other NFL team does that. So I feel like, you know, the level of talent you have to be able to pull that off is really difficult, and they do it very, very well. But it was my first time learning all of that, and learning that in front of a stadium full of people is incredibly anxiety inducing.
I bet.
A year after I had stopped cheering, just driving up to the stadium, I would get anxious, goosebumps, nausea, like I would freak out. It was hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, including being in business for 13 years. It was harder than that.
Wow.
It was
That's
hard.
a lot.
It was hard. But that was my experience, because some people, they come from backgrounds where they just fall into it and it's already natural and it's what they've been doing their whole lives, and it's easy for them. That wasn't me. So, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned that if I could get through that, I could get through anything, and it's just made me such a better person, a stronger person. So I wouldn't trade it, but I probably wouldn't do it again.
It sounds like it was good kind of mindset building and character development, though.
Oh yeah, definite character development. And the girls were great, and the staff was great. Like, our coaches were amazing. Everybody was so helpful and so kind and so intelligent, so amazing. So it's not a knock on the organization, because I think they're the best organization in the NFL.
Okay. That's very interesting. I would have never guessed any of that.
No, people don't know.
You see, like, me personally, I would have just assumed, oh, cheerleader. And I've seen the cheerleaders. I've seen some of what you've kind of posted with your students, and just in general, you hear the debate, is cheerleading a sport? And I'll see some of those videos of them kind of doing their routines.
Yeah.
And I look, and I'm just like, that's intense. Like, this is difficult. It's hard work.
Very difficult, and it takes so many years of learning and falling and breaking bones, and like, it's really hard. It's very, very hard. And but what I love about coaching it, and what I love about my gym, is that the skills that those girls have to learn to be able to accomplish those things, the mindset you have, the self-doubt that you have to overcome, the athleticism that you have to develop, those are things that help you through the rest of your life, hands down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Okay, cool. So I want to kind of sort of backtrack and then kind of jump before the cheerleading and into after the cheerleading.
Yeah, sure.
You said you started a business before you did cheerleading,
right?
Which I did not know about.
Yeah, so more than cheer, I started as a sophomore in college at Virginia-University.
Okay.
And I had just moved. I had accepted a cheerleading scholarship to a school called Avila University in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
And I loved my friends there, but the day that I got there, or like the week that I got there, we got a new coach. And she was not my favorite person. So I was like, okay, you know, I committed to this year. I'm going to finish it out. I'm going to do what I need to do. And so I did that, and then I transferred to VCU. And I didn't have a job, and I didn't have any connections in Richmond. So a family friend was like, well, you should start a business. You know how to cheer. You can teach other people to cheer. And that's what I did. And because I was on the VCU cheerleading team, I got connections into the cheer industry down there and space to use. And then it just so happened that I attended a meetup group centered around like personal development. I think the book was like The Millionaire Mind or something like that. And one of the ladies at the book club, the meetup, said, the schools, they do cheer classes, they do all sorts of after school programs. I was like, I've called all the schools. They all said no, that I couldn't come. And she was like, oh, that's because you have to go through the PTA. And that was like something so small that changed the business so drastically. Because then I was really able to scale and get contracts with schools and rec centers and things like that. And so just grew it, and started off as a completely mobile company, and I'd go to my clients, and then ended up moving back to Loudoun and got a space, and then got a bigger space, and then got a bigger space.
Scale up over time.
Yeah, we scaled up over time, which I think now we're a little too big.
Too big?
Because who I am isn't the same as who I was 13 years ago, right? Like,
okay.
What I love our mission. I love what we do for our kids, and I want to be able to do that for more kids. But the thing is, when you have a very large location in one space, it makes it difficult to service all the kids that you need to serve because you're regulated to one geographic location. So I want to be in Percival, I want to be in Sterling, I want to be in Aldi, but I also have this astronomical rent in this one location, and that makes it very difficult to not, number one, I have to manage everything that goes on at that location, and then I have to figure out how to manage all these small locations, right? Okay. So the dream has always been to have smaller locations that are franchisable. And we've worked on our franchise documents for a long time, and they're finally done. Okay. So, we're heading into a very uncertain time economically, but it's also historically been the best time to launch huge brands. So I'm hoping that this year will be the year to do that, to scale up and scale back at the same time.
Okay, well that's good to hear. Congrats on everything working out with that.
Thank you.
And just so, if I understand correctly, so you're working on kind of franchising out, but you haven't had any other locations yet.
No, so we've had a lot of mobile locations, partnerships with schools, private schools, rec teams and leagues, things like that. But we haven't had two standalone locations at the same time. And that's largely because the gym that we're in is too big for me to manage two standalone locations at the same time.
That makes sense.
So, this whole shutdown has provided some clarity, definitely, about what I want and who I want to serve and who I want to work with, but also some opportunity to kind of scale up in that smaller niche of like small gym, but more focused on personal development than competitions.
Okay. So at the core of More Than Cheer, would you say it's more personal development than... That's
what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
I think we've gotten distracted over the last couple of years with competition, but like I look back at my kids who started with me when we first came to Loudoun, and what awesome people they've become, and I just want to get to a place where we're kind of building that pipeline again, like where our kids are just like coming to have fun and learn tumbling and cheerleading and getting personal development in the midst of that. And then, maybe not staying with us forever because there are other large competition-oriented gyms, but just really getting the framework and getting the mindset and like really setting them on the path to become awesome people, over the focus being on just like, winning worlds or, that kind of thing.
See, I like that kind of model of using cheerleading to promote personal development, just because, I don't know, at least in my experience, personal development is really hard to get people to kind of, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. simply, it's not sexy.
No,
in my
not.
opinion, it's like
It's not.
you tell someone, hey, you should read a book, and it'll change your mindset.
Listen.
Make it, you try to introduce these things to people, and they kind of look at you like, why would I do that? It's
Right.
kidding me. It's crazy. Personal development. No, it's
But if you can do it with kids before they,
yeah.
I always go back to my why, which is when I was in kindergarten, I went to a summer camp, and I had this camp counselor, and her name was Miss Alexandra, and I don't remember my first grade teacher's name. Like a lady I was with all year, but I remember that one summer camp counselor, and she taught me meditation, and she taught me yoga. Yeah, as a kindergartner.
In kindergarten?
As a kindergartner.
Wow.
Right? Like, she taught me how to sit still, and she did it in such a fun way. And she talked to me about, just growing as a person. And, she dumbed it down for a kindergartner.
Mm-hmm.
But she really wholeheartedly changed my mindset because I was so young, I was so impressionable, right? And I looked up to her so much, and I want to do the same thing for my kids. I want them to have that same experience where what they learn with us changes the trajectory of their lives.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible. That's first of all, having a teacher like that in kindergarten is insane. Because I don't remember my kindergarten teacher at all.
And she wasn't even my teacher. She was my camp counselor. She was my summer camp counselor.
Yeah, that's even more interesting.
I
she has
know,
less time
right?
with you.
Yeah, I got blessed. Definitely.
Yeah. No, that's incredible though. Personal development is definitely something that I think more people should kind of latch onto.
Absolutely.
So when did you they call it the entrepreneurial bug? Because you seem to have already had a plan going into doing your own thing before the cheerleading. You already had a business set up. When, I guess, did that come up? Did that person's suggestion to start the business, was that the first?
That was the first. I think I did I was always doing stuff as a kid. I'm going to make lip glosses and sell them. That stuff. So I always kind of knew. And growing up, my mom was a real estate agent or in new home sales. Mm-hmm. My dad is a firefighter, and they worked incredibly hard and gave us every opportunity. They gave us such a good life, but they sacrificed their time and time with our family.
Yeah.
And so I kind of knew from watching them that I wanted to control my time and my income and my choices. And I've always kind of had we'll call it an unemployable personality. I want to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it. Yeah. And I've always been like that. So I kind of knew growing up that I was going to end up as a business owner. I think 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I was thinking about I might want to be the president. If anybody who knows me from elementary school, the first story they'll tell you is they'll be like, in 3rd grade, Brittany brought her encyclopedias to school, and then I was so nerdy.
No, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that.
But then, and she was like, and for a while I didn't remember this, and several of my elementary school friends had brought this up, and they were like, yeah, the first memory I have of you stood in front of the class and said that you were going to be the first Black woman president. And I was like, well, not doing that anymore. I can't.
You don't want to do it, or is it just?
I would love to do it, but I just don't have the patience for politics.
The way I totally understand that. I feel like we're in the same boat on that. I distance myself to an extent from politics.
Yeah. I mean, for my mental health, I kind of have to, because it gets overwhelming and exhausting, and I just can't do it. But I still try to stay involved and support candidates I believe in, and contribute and be informed. But I don't think I will ever run for presidency.
That's interesting. See, so when you were saying how you kind of, since you were a child doing entrepreneurial things, I'll call it, I always feel like the people that pursue the entrepreneurial path, and I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, I feel like deep down what they want is freedom, like true freedom.
For me,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, there's no truer statement. There's nothing I want more in the world than my freedom. Like, time, financial, stress, like, all of it. Like, I just want to be free. I just want to go do what I want to do.
When you want to do it.
When I want to do it. Without being worried about time or money constraints. Like, that's the goal. That, for me, that's definitely the goal. And I want to contribute in a way that entrepreneurship, I think, is like the only way to make enough money on a reoccurring basis to do the things that I want to do in the world, like to make the type of impact that I want to make. Because like having a job, you have to go to work, number one, which means I don't have time to go be philanthropic in the way that I would want to. And then in number two, once you stop working that job, you don't have the same amount of money, right? So that's why for me, entrepreneurship was like, is the only
option.
The only option, yeah.
That's fair. That is extremely interesting. That's anyone I've met that's entrepreneurial at all. They might not use the word freedom, but whatever word they use is always synonymous to freedom. And it's usually they have something else they want to do. Some people I meet, they're like, I just don't want to work. I just want to like vacation all the time and have somebody vacation, which is cool. I totally understand that. A lot of people I know, though, they're just like, I have a boss, and the boss says to do it A, B, and C way, and I don't want to do it A, B, and C way because I don't think it works, and I can get the job done in like 2 hours, but I got to work 8 hours,
right?
And I want to be outside where it's bright and sunny,
right?
And like maybe I want to go donate to a charity or organize an event. I can't do that because my boss is maybe not the boss themselves. You know, they're not personally doing it, but when you're under, kind of like with the cheerleading with the Baltimore Ravens, they have a structure that they want you to follow. You have to do things in a certain way.
Yep.
And you deviate from that, you don't
it's the problem.
You don't have a job at that point.
Right.
It's, then you're stuck.
No, 100%.
So yeah, that is very interesting. One thing I do want to ask you about, and I think twice, 2 or 3 times I briefly mentioned it, and I always mess it up. So you were on a Shark Tank panel. Is that what?
Yeah, I was on a Shark Tank panel. So, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm thinking of the same event you're thinking of.
There's more than one?
So, okay. So I've been a part of a lot of different entrepreneurial organizations. So I was the United States ambassador for the Global Student Entrepreneurship Awards, and that was when I was like in college or like maybe right after college. So that's one thing. And so, I was involved in that organization, and I was a judge for the Global Student Entrepreneur Awards. So that could be maybe what you're thinking of. I also attended a Shark Tank panel with previous Shark Tank contestants maybe 2 years ago at George Washington University.
Okay.
So that could be a thing. And then I also spoke for the Extreme Entrepreneurship Tour, where we traveled around the country talking to like high school and college students about entrepreneurship. So it could have been one of any of those things. Who knows?
I think it was the Shark Tank one in George Washington.
George Washington, yeah. That was super interesting.
They all sound interesting. I didn't know about the other two, so.
No, it was really interesting, and actually a friend of mine is a casting director for Shark Tank, and so it's been interesting to like kind of see everything that goes into it and to hear the stories behind it, and get an understanding for the lessons learned from the contestants. So that was a really good experience, and there's so much to be a part of. It's living in this area is amazing because we have so many resources and so many amazing people to learn from. So I was really excited to get to attend that and to like connect with some of the entrepreneurs over there.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're just hustling. You're all over the place.
I am all over the place, but the only reason I can
way.
be all over the place is because I have an amazing team. So, like, once I was able to build up more than cheer to a certain level, I was able to get staff that could help run that, and then, and that's a whole nother story, because hiring, oh my goodness.
I've heard nightmare stories
Oh my goodness.
about hiring.
Yeah. And I'm not like a people person, actually. You would think so, because, you know, I'm an NFL cheerleader, yeah, but I'm not.
Is it like an introverted type thing versus...
Well, first of all, you probably identify with this. As an entrepreneur and someone who believes in personal development, your mindset is just so different than most other people's. And so, like, I'm having conversations and I'm asking questions and I'm like, why would you do that? Like, why does that sound like a good idea? You know? And so...
what's an example? If you have one off the top of your head,
I mean, just like some folks just have a complete lack of ambition.
Okay.
And it's like... I'm handing you an opportunity. Yeah. And you're like, oh, but I just don't know. I think I need to go do X, Y, Z. And it's always something stupid. And I'm like...
It's an excuse.
Yeah.
It's a terrible excuse.
It's a terrible excuse. And I don't know. I get judgy about stuff like that. And I really try to, like, let people live their lives. But part of it is, like, I want everybody to be free and to be happy and to be amazing and to be their best selves. But some people don't want that for themselves. And so it's really hard for me to be in conversation with folks that don't want to do that, you know? I
totally understand that. We actually, when you kind of just now about opportunity, we had a recent discussion about opportunity, me and a friend. And because he just completely, me and him had just drastically opposite viewpoints on just life, what the definition of success is, just everything. And it was interesting because I'm usually I don't really debate people or try. I like discussions. I don't like getting into heated debates because it just makes me feel negative. Why would I want to do that to myself? And
you're lucky I can't do it. I get so upset.
Well, he pulled me into it, and I kind of like, I fell for the trap and kind of got sucked into the argument. But we were talking about opportunity, and I kind of said that, and this is my belief now. I don't think you'll hear people say, I need to find opportunity, I'm searching for opportunity. And my thing is, I think it's always around. I think you kind of need to build yourself up. You have to be looking for it, like actively looking for it.
And you have to have the knowledge to be able to see it.
Yes, that's what I was gonna go for. I think a lot of people, the opportunity is like literally right in front of them. And someone could even say, dude, this is opportunity. It's literally a huge piece of paper with in bold opportunity. And they'll say, this is an opportunity. Or they'll look at it and ball it up.
Or they don't want to work. They don't want to do the work for the opportunity.
Well, I say that because just kind of with the whole, I think I told you the marketing business we're trying to
Yeah, you did. You mentioned it.
So me and my business partner, our thought was we'll go out and we'll get we'll go a step beyond testimonials. We'll get case studies.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
Because it's proven results for people, and it just makes us look better. And so we're pitching, done for you services with marketing, with all their social media, just general marketing, everything. And some people I reached out to, I explained, we're gonna do everything. There's a few things you have to do because it's your brand.
Right.
Like if we suggest go on camera, we'll give you the scripts, we'll schedule what you should say, we'll coach you through how to say it.
Which is awesome.
It's literally everything. The only thing we can't do is
say it for you.
Say it for you, because it's a brand. In this particular case, it's a brand, and we can't be you.
Right.
If we could, take the drink like in Harry Potter, what was it, Polyjuice Potion, and become a new person, we would do it for you, but we can't do it for you. And we gave them everything, and they wouldn't do it. And I'm sitting there like, dude, like I wish someone would give me like for real estate or the script to how to do everything, and just say like Lenny, at 10 a.m., at 2 p.m., and at 4 p.m., do it this way. You're good.
My father
and it's free.
Is that person.
That won't do it
will not do it.
That will not do it.
I had NBC call me and was like, hey, we want to put you and your parents on camera today and broadcast it nationally for the restaurant.
Wow. NBC.
Right? NBC. Okay? That's a huge...
That's a lot of... That's opportunity.
Yeah, with Lester Holt, okay? So I'm like, what time do you need us ready?
Yeah.
Like, when somebody calls you offering you an opportunity, what time do you need me to be ready?
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no...
Especially when it's NBC.
Right.
It's like, I'm ready whenever you say.
Exactly. I will be there. I'll be prepared whenever you want me to. Right?
Yeah.
So I get off the phone, I call my mom, and I'm like, hey, we have this opportunity. Like, whatever you're doing, I need you to rearrange your schedule so that we can do this. Right? She's game. She's like, my mom and I are like this, okay? She's like, let's do this. And I'm like, let's do this, you know? And she's like, but you're going to have to call your dad and talk to him about it. And I was like, okay. So I called my dad, and he's like, whoa, what is this? And what's happening? And when are you going to be here? And this and that. And he, like, starts getting grumpy about it. And he's like, you just sprung this on me. I was like, they just called me.
This on us.
Okay, like, this wasn't planned.
Yeah.
You know, I had created a relationship with them over some other stories, and you know, okay, so he's fussing, and I'm like, okay, well, they're gonna be there at 1:30. I just need you to make sure that they're good. They don't even need to come inside. They're gonna do it from outside because of Corona, all of this. Okay, so my mom and I, obviously, I live in Alexandria. The shop is...
You live in Alexandria?
Yes. Their restaurant is
Jesus.
in Winchester, okay? So, like, I have 2 Mastiff dogs. So, like, one is 100 and some odd pounds, and one is, like, 80, 90 pounds. They have to go out. I have to take a shower. I have to get myself together because I can't go on camera looking crazy.
Yeah.
And then I have to get over there, right? And it's, like, 10 a.m. when I talk to them. And I'm trying to coordinate my parents, right? So, I don't have time for people to be, like, throwing fits about nothing, right? So I'm stressed out. So I'm like on my way. I know it's gonna be late. I let my parents know. My mom said she was gonna be late too because she's in Leesburg and going out to Winchester. You know, I'd already let the camera crew know. Like, they knew not to expect me before 2. They said they were just gonna spend 1:30 to 2 setting up. They got there early. They got there about 1. My dad calls me freaking out. I don't want to do this. I'm like, do what? They're here already. Okay. What do they need? They said they didn't need anything. I said, okay, so what are we talking about? Like, what, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, Dad, all you have to do is stand there. Mom's going to do all the talking. All you have to do is stand there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how he scowled the entire time. From the time I walked into the restaurant till the time the interview was over, all he did was scowl. And I was like, what are you upset about? All you have to do is stand here and you have a national news opportunity and you're upset? Like, so yes, my dad is that person. My dad does things like that. And so it makes it, we're so different in that way. You know, he's a very like 9-to-5, safe, secure type of person. And because he's always been in that environment, he freaks out very easily when things change or when there's like, you know, a lot going on. Yeah, or because I'm coming into the business to help more because I have a lot of time off from more this year because of Corona, I've put in a POS system that allows pre-ordering. So like we're changing things on the truck. We just hired 2 people so that we can handle the amount of work we're doing. I put my staff behind the company so that we can schedule more events. I've literally quadrupled their revenue this month so far. Wow. Like, so we're doing a lot of business because I'm now also adding like Facebook ads, Google ads, like online marketing. And he is not having it. He is not happy. And I'm like, what are you upset about? We're doing 4 times the amount of business. Like, why are you upset?
It's only upside at this point.
Right.
Like, why are you upset?
But he doesn't like change. And he doesn't like pressure. He doesn't like commotion. So that's been really hard to help him become an entrepreneur. I was like, listen, you're going to have to put your entrepreneur pants on and suck it up because this is what entrepreneurs do.
Yeah. All the time. All the time. You know, you start to grow and you have to go through the growing pains to get better. You have to. Yeah. And it sucks. And you're going to disappoint people and it's not going to be perfect. But it's what's necessary. Yeah. Totally agree on all that. When you saying that reminds me of, it makes me think of, so like earlier when coronavirus, and I know it's kind of a weird topic because I kind of hear too much about coronavirus, so I kind of try to distance myself from it. But back when coronavirus first became news and people panicked, they're still panicking, but panicked a lot more because they were more unsure about what's going to happen.
Right.
In my mind, I was like, there's really going to be three different categories. I don't know if you saw I put up a video like that, and I was like, there's going to be three categories of people. There's the people who are just going to freak out, and they're going to make excuses. They're going to say like, oh, well, coronavirus is causing this to happen, or there's every reason why whatever I planned on doing, I can't do. Then there's going to be the people who will see coronavirus as opportunity, and maybe it's opportunity that in the past they genuinely could not. They knew that it was there, but for whatever reason, circumstances that weren't really excuses, they were legitimate circumstances. They couldn't kind of seize the opportunity, and then coronavirus hits, and they're like, "This is my chance. I have more. I'm working at home. I have more time.
Yeah.
Now I can take maybe that class that can
I've
get me to that
taken
next
so
level."
many classes.
Me too. That's literally all I've been doing for the past
I know, me too.
like we were talking about this before the camera started, but I'm in the boat where I'm just like, it's bad to say, I don't mind this going a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm good.
It
really shows you like, if you're a hustler, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You'll
keep hustling.
You'll keep hustling. You'll look for the opportunity. You'll find it, and you'll be okay. And if you're not, you're not.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be more difficult than it probably needs to be.
Yeah.
And so like that was really my takeaway from this. Like, after being in business for 13 years, this happens, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what are we gonna do? And we started to pivot. And actually, for the first week of it, I was sick, and I don't think I had corona, but I was not doing anything. I was not working at all. I was just laying in the bed getting better.
Yeah, and it happens.
Yeah. And so like that was the first thing, and then I think the second week I was just like kind of resting and kind of gathering myself. And then I was like, oh, this isn't going away. So, all right, let's get on this. Let's pivot. And then we started to pivot. And so I'm creating a drop shipping site for cheer dance and gymnastics equipment that you can use at home, and I'm creating an online site. Yeah, heck yeah. Because this could definitely happen again. And I never want my income streams to be disrupted again by something that I know can happen. Like the first time, okay, cool. Like nobody knew this was going to happen. It hadn't happened in 100 years.
Yeah.
But the second time, if you're still slipping,
that's on you.
That's on you. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not, even as we're re-entering the market and people are kind of coming back, I want to be prepared for if it goes south ever again.
Yeah. And I think you said a lot just there that's great takeaways. Part of it, when you said pivoting, I think is important. A lot of people, I think, don't do that well enough. Something bad happens, and it's like, dude, if this thing happens to you, just try something else. Like, do something different. If it's not working, don't do it.
And understand that it's not, like, it's okay.
Yeah. Because
a majority of what you will try will not work.
Yeah.
But people get caught up in, like, a sense of failure because it didn't work, instead of just being like, okay, I learned something.
Yeah, they get in their head too much, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I failed a lot.
I feel like if you're an entrepreneurial person, by definition, it's like your job. It's to fail pretty much over and over again.
So that you can learn.
Yeah, that's you fail forward.
Yeah, 100%. And you can shorten that learning curve by reading and by like taking courses. And I think that's why the info education market is kind of blowing up right now. Because people realize, like, okay, I can go bump my head against the wall 100 million times, or I can just pay and have somebody, like, even if they're only saving me one step, that's one step I didn't have to waste time on.
That one step could cost you upwards of several thousands of dollars, and if you just learn that ahead of time,
100%.
there's money that you saved / earned.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot tell you how much money I wasted learning how to market on Facebook and market on digital media, you know?
Yeah.
At the time, it was at the very beginning of my business, so I kind of got blessed because it wasn't as expensive as it is to learn it now, right? And people know that they need to do it, and I have like a whole like $1 a day course that you can do, or I'll come do it for you, and people just still not do it.
Yeah.
And they know they need to. They know they need to, and they know that. And what I love about online marketing is like you get so good at it that you say, okay, if I put this amount of money in, I'm gonna get this amount of money out. And it's literally like printing money. That's what I love about marketing in general. It's literally printing money.
Yeah.
People don't do it.
It's great. No, yeah, it's the mindset thing. That's what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
You saying that reminded me of a buddy. He works. I'm not saying his name because I don't want to out him, but
that's fair.
Has a job, and I don't know why he messaged me for something. I think I was doing some videos, and he's like, "So I got this job, man." He's like, "The job's not paying me as much as I think I'm worth. I want to get a different job, but I don't think I'm qualified to get a different job, like a higher paying job." And I'm like, "Well, why don't you just take courses and then demonstrate that you're more valuable, and then you apply for the job?" And he's like, "Well, I don't want to take the courses." And I was like, "Well, what are you complaining about?"
Right.
It's like, I don't understand your complaint then. You just don't want to.
It's so interesting because somebody, I heard this somewhere, and you know, like being a personal development nerd like me, you know how you like just hear things, right?
Yeah.
And somebody was like, people only complain about things that they can change. Nobody complains about gravity because gravity is going to be there whether you like it or not.
That's
right?
interesting, yeah.
But people will complain about their job, their relationship, their home, their car, and they're all things that they have the power to change.
Yeah. There are also things that probably don't require that much effort or work to change. Yeah. Like you have a bad boyfriend or girlfriend. Either have a conversation or break up with them. It's like it emotionally sucks, but it's not that complicated.
I think that,
I
felt that in my soul right there. Because sometimes it isn't a bad boyfriend or girlfriend, but they aren't the person you should be with.
Yeah.
And so I think especially for women, we're always like, oh, but it could. Oh, it could change. Oh, it could do this, it could do that. You know, my ex and I were together. I'm going to get personal for a sec.
Go for it.
And we're still friends. We're great friends. So this is no shade on him. But we were together for 6 years. And there were just things that I knew, and I think he knew too, in our relationship that were like holding us both back from reaching our highest potential. And it wasn't anything malicious or anything that we were doing intentionally to the other person. But it was like, just like unproductive habits that we had with each other. And like, I knew for years. And I was just like, oh, but maybe, he'll change this, or it's a matter of time. And like things like that. No.
I don't think people are wired to they're not going to change drastically. They might change a little bit.
Well, but this is the thing. People will change drastically when there's a catalyst.
Yes.
But if you're still in the relationship and y'all are still doing the same things you've always been doing, why would they change?
Yeah.
And why would you expect them to? And why would you change? Because you're still in this very safe, secure, comfortable, like even if it's not ideal, you know what to expect. And so it's comfortable. Yeah. So like there's a lot of valuable lessons in that.
Yeah. I feel, as a side note, one thing I wanted to do a while back, I wanted to do kind of a YouTube series about, so my initial thought was 2 guys, 2 girls, and every time for like a half an hour, just conversations about relationships.
I'm there for it.
And it didn't happen because parties did not, at the very last minute, backed out and were not interested. And then when I tried to kind of reinitiate it, kind of got a little bit ghosted, but that's a different story. But I'm kind of, now that you mentioned that, I'm thinking maybe I might want to relaunch it, just find new people to.
I'm down to participate. I'm a very opinionated person, and I feel like I'm very like analytical. I don't think that's the right word, but like I like to like analyze why things happen and how to improve and things like that. So I spend a lot of time just thinking about everything, just like my internal thoughts, but like also trying to understand the perspective of others.
Yeah, I feel like that's an entrepreneurial type
trait,
like being analytical. You have to kind of see like, is this working? Why is this working? What's not working? What's going on here?
Yes, all the time. Because sometimes it's like that 1% improvement
makes a big difference.
Oh my God, changes everything.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like this could be that. There's a rabbit hole we can get into with the whole.
Heck yeah.
Which is great. I wouldn't mind going down that rabbit hole. Maybe in a part 2 video.
Yeah, we mentioned before the camera came on, we said maybe we'll end up doing a part 2.
Yeah, we definitely got to do a part 2 at this point.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Okay, so I do want to, for anyone watching that might be entrepreneurial or an entrepreneur or anything like that, you said you've had about 13 years of business experience, which is, it's a lot. That's a lot of solid information going in.
It's a journey.
It's a journey at that point. I guess so for anyone watching this, what would you, if they're brand new, I'll start with if they're brand new. If they're brand new, maybe they have less than a year, maybe a year or so, or maybe their name is Lenny and they just want to kind of get some more business advice. What would you tell them? I guess, what would be your maybe biggest 3 tips for someone in that category?
Okay, so number 1 is investing in personal development. And I think multi-level marketing gets a bad rap, but, and I'm not a fan of multi-level marketing, let me be clear, but the personal development content that they teach in most multi-level marketing companies, gold. So good. Like, I have joined companies before just so that I could like be around super motivated people and get great content. So like definitely invest in you and find the courses, find the seminars, find the conferences, find what motivates you. Freaking read. And if you don't like reading, Audible, okay? Audible saves my life. I listen to books. I have books with me all the time, but I also listen to books a lot, and I re-listen to them. So number 1, personal development. Invest in your personal development. Number 2 would be your network is your net worth. And don't ignore people who are not quite where, I think there's this thing that we do, like when we network, where we always want to like go for somebody who's above us, but we don't realize that the people that are in our graduating class, right, our graduating class of budding entrepreneurs are going to be the people who are at some point the people that we've been trying to network with, right? And so sometimes, I know I'm definitely guilty of it. I'll be like, oh, I don't really want to go to that seminar because it's too small and that person's just getting started and blah, blah, blah. And then 5 years later, they're like, I'm still watching and I'm still supporting them, but I'm like, wow, that's so interesting what they're doing. I'd love to do that with them. Well, I could have done that with them 5 years ago when I had the chance to support them and be involved. Instead of like, cheering from a distance, I could have gotten, in the trenches and helped them. So I think that's really important. Like, it's not just about smoothing with people who are above the level you're at. It's also about helping the people that you're with to level up, and they'll always help you as well. And then I think the third thing is, this is a me thing. This is like something I'm telling myself really, and I'm just sharing it with everybody else. I do that a lot. Listen to your intuition and listen to yourself and be honest with what you want, because so often we make decisions based on what we feel obligated to do for other people. And they'll be fine. These people will be okay. Live your best life. Go do what you want to do. And everybody else will be okay. That is one thing that I've learned. I, for so long, have made decisions about, oh, well, we're going to run this program, or I'm going to be helping this person. Because what would they do if I didn't help them?
Mm-hmm.
Or what would they do if they couldn't be involved in this particular thing that I've been doing for the last several years, right? And you know what? Those things ended anyway, and they were fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that happened was I wasted my time, right? And I think as we get older, our time gets more and more valuable, because I'm looking like, why did I waste all that time doing something I didn't want to do for someone who didn't even need me to do it? I just thought they needed me to do it.
And they might not have valued
Didn't
time
value
and effort
Didn't
anyway.
value it. No. In fact, they complain the whole time, usually, in most cases. Because honestly, like, if it's not something you want to do, you're probably not putting your 100% into it, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not getting everything that they wanted to get out of it. So everybody's unhappy. Just be okay letting things go, and be okay quitting things. I am a strong believer in finishing out your obligation, but just because you finished out your obligation doesn't mean you need to sign up for it again. Let it go. So those would be my 3 things right now off the top of my head.
Those are some solid tips.
I try.
I think the intuition one was the second one I do want to kind of go back to. The intuition one, I think, is just extremely important. In the past year, at least for me personally, I think that's been something that I've kind of been learning.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you try to use logic and you're like, oh, or logic and emotion, you're like, oh, well, this person, they can't do this without me, or they need me to do this thing, or I should do it for them because
I'm better at it.
Because I'm better at it, or they'll judge me or think bad of me if I don't do it, and then you kind of.
What will people think if I stop doing that?
Yeah, and you shoot yourself in the foot, and it's like your gut almost is the entire time like, dude, like stop.
Yeah, 100%. I mean and we do things subconsciously to force other people to make the decisions that we want to make, right? So like, I'm not giving my 100% because I don't really actually want to do this, and because I'm not giving my 100%, you're unhappy, and so you leave anyway, right? Like, okay. It's that type of thing where I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna show up to say that I showed up, but the vibe isn't going to be right, so you're going to leave, and then I can be like, oh, well, you left, you quit, you know?
Yeah.
And we do that. I know I've done it, definitely. I mean, and even for more than cheer, I've never been a super fan of all-star competition cheerleading, and we got into it because my former co-owner wanted to get into it.
Okay.
And now she's gone, and I'm sitting here doing something that I don't feel like serves the highest good. And I did it because I was like, oh, my kids are going to be so disappointed if I don't do this. Mm-hmm. But now we're a couple years in, and I'm like, no, everybody will be fine. Everybody, like, we'll still have teams, but it's not going to be, our focus is not going to be on teams. And for anyone who wants to be focused on teams, there's plenty of other programs to choose from, and I'm not going to be hurt by it, you know, like, because eventually those people have to grow and leave. Like, no hard feelings. But it took me a while to get to that point where I was like, it's okay for me to just do what I want to do. Yeah, I agree. So, and I do want to just jump back to that second point you made. I don't know how you feel about this guy. Do you know who Tai Lopez is? I do vaguely. Real estate, right? He's more of an investor. Okay. He kind of has his hand in like everything. But he was kind of one of the original people on YouTube to start selling courses. Okay. And he kind of got a bad rap because he just paid like millions of dollars to run ads. And any YouTube video that was related to business, his ad would pop up. If it was even remotely related to business, his ad would pop up. So what was the problem? I think half of it was a lot of people just got annoyed because it's an ad, even though... That's what the platform is for now? Yeah, even though you could skip it and just not watch it, people were still upset that he would... That sounds like a lot of hateration to me. It was. And I think he's a really... I don't know him personally. I wish I did. He seems pretty interesting. But he did this TED Talk,
and he has this thing called the law of 33%, and it's basically what you just said. And he basically says, as you continue to develop yourself and you continue to grow, you want to basically split your time. So you want to have 33% of the people on the same level. And this is people this will be your main core group of friends. You know, you mingle with them. You guys have a common interest. You're on the same level. The other 33% is people a lot higher than you. And these are the people you want to aspire to be like. You want to learn from them and, you know.
Your mentor.
They're your mentors, exactly. And then he said the last 33% is everyone below you. And he's like, you spend time with them and you're above them, you know it, but you do what you can to help them come up to your level and you act as a mentor to them. And he was saying that if you can manage your time wisely and kind of split it up 33% between those three people, that's the best case scenario. Because you don't want to just be with people too high above you, because he didn't say this. I think this is my opinion on it. It's kind of taking too much.
Yeah.
Like you're always kind of looking to take and you're not really, you either feel like you can't give or you're just not willing to give.
Right.
Of course, if you're in your same level, you're not learning anything probably because everyone's too similar to you.
Right.
So there's not, it's probably fun, but there's not much gain if you're trying to grow. And then if you're just hanging around people that are lower than you, you're probably doing yourself a disservice because you're not pushing yourself. You're not pushing yourself. You're lowering your standards basically at that point, in my opinion.
I will say though that lower 33% helps you master what you know, because true mastery is being able to teach someone else.
I totally agree. with that. That's a good point. Yeah. Just not too long though.
Yeah.
Well, I think
agreed. No, it should be 33. I think 33% all across the board is a great guideline.
But if you ever get a chance, after this, I'll send you this video if you're interested.
Absolutely.
I
feel like we need to do some course sharing. I have a lot of courses. I feel like you have a lot of courses.
Oh, there's a lot of courses. I'm down for that too. After this, we can share some courses.
Heck yeah, I'm for it.
But yeah, so we kind of covered some tips for anyone who's watching.
Yep.
I am curious, what would you say, I guess, as a business owner, is the most difficult kind of challenge you've had?
100% personnel.
Okay. So just making sure you have the right people around. And
finding the right people, hiring the right people, firing the wrong people. I'm horrible at firing people. That intuition thing about making a decision and firing somebody, I won't do it. I will be like, oh, maybe they'll get better, or I'll just wait for them to leave because
leave on their own accord.
Yeah, because they will. Eventually they'll leave, and so I'm horrible about that because I could just make the decision and kind of save us all the time, but I'll literally just wait it out.
Okay.
But the plus side of that is when people leave and they feel like it was their decision, they're not bitter, and so it saves me from having to try to do damage control around my brand.
Yeah.
Which is good. But on the other side, I've wasted a ridiculous amount of money on leaving people on my payroll way too long. Way too long.
In the long run, it's a lot of money if they're not productive.
Over the course of business, I've lost at least $100,000 in payroll money to people who should not have been on my team.
Yeah, that's a lot.
A lot.
Is that including productivity that might be lost just because of
No, that's money I paid.
Just
people.
pay them directly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of also the reason to kind of scale back and make it what it's supposed to be for more than cheer, is because I realized Corona has given me so much time to think. And this is something I realized before this, but it really got solidified during this time. But I realized I was paying people to create problems for me to solve. So I had staff that wasn't capable of making my customers happy. And so my customers would always want to come and talk to me. And so I'm if I have to come solve problems, what
What's the purpose of
What's the purpose?
this
I can
person?
just go do it myself, and then there's not a problem for me to solve. And I'm saving myself money because I'm not paying somebody who can't solve the problem to begin with. You know, so like that was definitely a thought for me, and part of the reason like I'm happy to kind of be scaling back, but it comes with a trade-off. Like I have to commit a certain amount of time to be in the gym every day, and it's not even a lot, but I just have such a freedom chip on my shoulder that I'm like, but I don't want to commit to the same schedule every week. Like that's really hard for me. But then I'm looking at like all the potential money that I could save and parlay that into real estate investment, and I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. So
I guess to wrap up, I will say, what's next for you, Brittany Rose, but also by extension for More Than Cheer, for any other business that you're running? What is the next kind of venture for you?
Corona has been such a blessing for me. I'm so excited because I'm just like ready now. Like I feel like I've rested. I feel like I've gotten clear on what I want. I feel like I have a very like solid understanding of how I can get there. So like, you know, everybody tells you like pick one thing and focus on that, right? Mm-hmm. But in my case, that's not how I work. Number one, I get bored.
We're in the same boat.
And I start to feel like I'm not contributing. And so I get depressed because I'm like, I'm not doing anything with my life. Like, I'm 32 and I haven't made a contribution. You know, like I start doing that in my head.
Even though you're probably like way ahead of everyone else in that category.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's never good enough for myself, right?
Yeah,
so
that's good.
So this time has made me realize like I have to stop following everybody else's narrative about that.
Yeah.
And if you have a team, you can do it. You can do everything that you want to do. Like I saw this infographic of all of the businesses that Jeff Bezos owns. It's insane, right? And nobody's over here telling him, Jeff, you need to focus on one thing, right? Like people are telling you to focus on one thing because that's what average people do.
Yeah.
And if you want to do more than that, then build a team that is capable of taking your dreams further and taking it past you and what you're capable of. Like the reason why people are only focusing on one thing is because that's all that they have room to focus on in their lives. They can't do multiple things. They have, I don't have a husband. I don't have kids yet. This is my time to branch out and do everything that I want to do. And so it's like, it's go time. It's like really, this has really taught me and given me the bandwidth to be like, okay, I have a team of people and I've been kind of just using them for More Than Cheer, but there's so much more that we can all do together. And there's so much further, we can go so much faster. So for me, Brittany Rose, I am speaking more. I am seizing opportunities to connect and to share knowledge. I am, building a team that's more built around business development instead of developing one specific business. Mm-hmm. And I am saving and investing and kind of like doing all that however it comes up for me. And then for More Than Cheer, it's definitely to scale down the number of programs we're offering and the number of students that we're working with, which sounds like so counterintuitive, but I really want to be selective about the families that I work with and be aligned with what I do. So like, if you're here because you want your kid to gain some confidence, to become more athletic, to learn personal development skills, then More Than Cheer is where it should be, right? If you're here because you want a sparkly uniform and a whole bunch of rings, there are a lot of other gyms that you can go do that at, right? So I want to be more choosy about who I work with, because working with people when you're not aligned with them is exhausting. And I don't have the time and the energy for it anymore. So we're not going to do that anymore. That is like a major decision I've made over the last couple months. So, and really, I just want to do what I want to do. Like, I'm not going to work on things that I'm not passionate about. I'm not going to take on projects that don't bring me joy, don't align with my purpose, don't make an impact in my community, or are not profitable. So those are like, that's my criteria, and I'm kind of just doing that. And then what's next for the restaurant? And so I don't know. Let me explain. My parents own and I am part of a restaurant called Scrimp Shack in Winchester. It's a franchise that they bought into. And then we have the only food truck in the franchise. And so helping my parents in their entrepreneurial journey is kind of like a very big focus for me, because if I can teach them, then they can blow up their company, our company, without me like being as involved, so my attention could be spread elsewhere. So there's that. And then I'm also helping out with a sanitation company, COVID-19 sanitation company, where we work in office buildings and at people's homes to sanitize the air and everything in the space. So I'm helping with that, and real estate, because real estate is my baby. Like, I love real estate. So I am, selling and buying and investing, and I think that covers everything.
You have your license?
I do.
What, see, I don't want to even ask you this because I'm a realtor too, so
I know. That's what I was like, I'm just gonna.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So what brokerage are you with?
I'm with a team called Coalition. It's under Keller Williams, and it's in DC.
Okay. Are you licensed in Virginia and DC? Or?
I'm licensed in Maryland, and as soon as the offices open up and I can take the remainder of my tests for DC and Virginia, I'll be licensed there too.
Okay. When you get your Virginia license, we can't be friends anymore. No, that's a lot. That's incredible. You were just straight up hustling. I'm kind of like get pumped up, get motivated.
Yeah, let's do it. No, over on my way here, I was like listening to gospel music in the car, and like this time of day is always like super pumped up gospel music, right? And I was just like, woo, let's go! Like, I was so excited. I was excited to be here, excited to see you, and just like excited to like, I'm just happy. Like, I'm just happy.
It's good to be it's good to be happy. Why would you want to be upset?
So many people just are not happy.
Yeah.
I would say most people are not happy.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So.
All right, we totally need to have a part 2.
Let's do it.
Hopefully sooner than later. Before we kind of end the video, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience? Something that I might have missed?
Follow me on Instagram. It's at b.theboss, and keep up with everything that I'm doing. Reach out, because I am an open book, and I will let you pick my brain, because that's what people did for me, and that's how I got to where I got to. And yeah, just connect. Like, we have the internet now, and we have social media, and most people are quarantined, so use that time to connect.
Yeah.
So that's it. But thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
I had so much fun. This is so great.
This was a great interview. I'm very happy after 10 years we finally got to do this. Yeah, totally appreciate you coming out here. I didn't know you were coming from Alexandria.
Yeah, but I'm here all the time.
It's very far. It's insane.
I drive a lot. In fact, like, that's my goal for this year, is probably to find someone to help me drive.
Like a driver type of situation?
Yeah. Because
Okay.
I just realized how much work I can get done sitting in the car instead of driving. And I know it sounds like so crazy because people don't have drivers, but we actually all have drivers. We take Uber, right? So it's not that far off. But Uber is expensive, so I'd rather like contract somebody.
Yeah. Do you vlog at all?
I want to. I want to start vlogging on my Instagram.
My buddy who does pictures for me, I think. Did I give you?
You did, and we have to do a photo shoot.
Yeah, we do. See, I want to do more, and this whole COVID thing, I know. Hit the brakes a little bit. I think I might just go ahead and just start anyway. We can be 6 feet apart and take pictures. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
We're not even 6 feet apart now.
That's true. But yeah, more will be done. We'll get to it. But yeah. I'll let you go because I know you got lots of stuff to do today. Like I said, I appreciate you coming out here. Totally
Thanks for
agree.
having me. Thanks for always following up. Thanks for staying connected.
No problem. Thank you for being receptive to it. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you have any questions, please send Brittany a DM. She is just a treasure trove of knowledge. She has a lot of great 13 years of experience. That's a lot of...
I got that knowledge from failing. Don't forget that.
Which is good because that's time that they don't have to fail.
Exactly. So we can all I think it's the tide raises all ships. Is that what it is? Is that the quote? I don't know. But basically, when one of us wins, we all win. So, All
right. Go follow her, guys. Go DM her. Don't spam her. Don't spam her.
Me.
But ask very thoughtful
be consistent
questions.
about following up because I get busy and I'll see something and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to reply to that. Like, I have 300 unread text messages in my phone and I get about 100 to 150 emails a day. So I'm not ignoring you. So feel free to be persistent about contacting me. And I promise I love the conversation. I love getting to pour into others and to connect with others and to learn from others. So don't feel bad if you have to, be persistent. That's how I got my mentor. I was relentless. I was relentless for months, for like 6 months.
Most people wouldn't last. I don't think they would last. They would try like once and then they just give up. But see, this is part 2.
Part 2. That would be part 2.
All right. Thank you for watching, guys. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Peace out. Love you guys.
Thanks.